What's up, everybody? I am K. Marie.
I am Lou.
I'm Mary.
And we are
Murked in the Midwest.
All right. So we have Herbert Baumeister. I'm just going to tell y'all, this is a disclaimer that goes to all the episodes. This episode, future episodes, previous episodes. Hi, I am Lou, and I have a problem with people's names, okay? Now,
Hi, Lou.
hi. I try my best, and I can't help it. I try. I did hooked on phonics when I was little, but some of these names are not from. They are not of. Right, and they're not of America. You know. What the hell is this?
Herbert the Pervert.
Herbert the Pervert. Okay, that's him. That's him. So here's his background, this little nasty bastard. Okay, so he was born in Indianapolis, 1947. He was the oldest of 4 children. His childhood was allegedly normal, whatever normal is. And by the onset of adolescence, however, he began to exhibit some antisocial behaviors. He would pick up dead animals, like birds, and take them to school and leave them for his teachers, like little apples.
This is what I got for you. Or like when you cat brings you something.
Yeah, no, thank you. I know them teachers was like, no, thank you, sir. This child, he's really weird. Okay. And then another time, apparently, he was caught urinating on his teacher's desk, like marking his territory or something. Something was going on there. He also began failing class and had a lot of distractive behaviors for the other students. And it wasn't really it was just something that was clearly very wrong with him. And when you have kids acting out in ways, and those are clearly some acting out, pissing on the desk, that's usually a sign of something.
Not saying as extreme as where he goes, but something.
But something is happening there, okay? As a teenager, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but did not receive any actual treatment, which is also a little odd.
But also understandable for the time.
Oh, yeah, true.
Treatment was considered for schizophrenia.
Treatment generally at that time was institutionalization.
And electroshock therapy.
And the lobotomies.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother case. We could talk about that freaking weirdo. But
so this was a time where he didn't want to be treated.
Yeah, so maybe his parents was trying to do a kindness. Yeah. On one of his odd incidents that occurred, he offered to drive Donna and his friends from a IU football game in hopes that maybe, they become a gang or whatever. And when the day came, he showed up in, what is it?
In a hearse.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. He showed up in a hearse. Lord. So his dad was in the medical field.
I don't give a shit.
They assumed that he had got it through connections of his dad working in the hospitals and stuff.
You come pick me up in a hearse and I'm going back in the house.
He showed up in a hearse.
I am not entertaining your foolishness, sir.
He had
okay.
Lights flashing,
I'm sorry, y'all.
Came ready.
Yeah, fuck that.
Came ready.
Anyway, so people started pulling off the road. Recalls Donna. Yeah, I bet. He wore a chauffeur's cap and he thought it was just funny, because, that's a fun time.
Look, watch us beat all the traffic, guys.
Donna, however, his friend and their dates wondered what kind of oddball was at the steering wheel, which is understandable because that's just strange. That's just
imagine. Like this guy who you're not really like you guys kind of talk in school, and he's like, "Hey, I can give you guys a ride to the football game," and he shows up in a hearse.
Yeah. So, anywho,
maybe that might be because they got in the hearse.
I'm telling you,
they got in the hearse.
How about right back in the door? Right back in the door. Goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
I'm good.
Imagine
I'm good.
Up on the hearse, right? And them motherfuckers get in the back.
Hell no.
Long flatbed where you hold a casket.
Did he have a casket in there? Just lay down? Lay down, let's play like with Dracula?
He's just sitting there Indian style, what's them people
that did in that submersible that imploded in the ocean. That motherfucker sitting there.
The chum at the bottom of the ocean.
Like, God damn.
Okay, so anyways, back to Herbert's little perverted ass. I mean, he was perverted clearly in multiple different ways. But anyways, so he wasn't treated for his mental illness. He picking up people in hearses, thinking it's funny. And things just continued to get worse. He at first was like a little docile, and then he kind of started lashing out. As an adult, he drifted in from a different array of jobs. He had strong work and ethics, but also had more increasingly bizarre behavior.
Yeah, so he was like that guy. He would show up for work. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be on time. Like he wanted to get praise from his bosses and his supervisors and stuff like that. So he had a strong work ethic, mm-hmm. but most of the jobs ended because of some strange thing he did.
So then he attended IU, and again he dealt with being an outcast. He had the strange behaviors. He dropped out of his first semester, and then he further, just continuing on, had more issues. He was pressured by his father. He attended in 1967 and studied anatomy, but dropped out again at the end of that semester. And this time, being at IU was not like really a complete end for him, because he actually met Julianne Salter, and she was a high school journalism teacher and a part-time IU student, and they began dating. And besides being extremely conservative politically, they shared like this entrepreneurial spirit. They had their dreams of, operating businesses.
Yeah, so that was where they kind of like bonded. They realized they had stuff in common. That we're both a little weird. Like we're not textbook.
I don't think she was picking up people in hearses.
I don't think she knew that. Like,
wait,
she knew about that.
Okay, now wait a minute. Now, maybe she did. Maybe she liked hearses. Maybe she was like Morticia.
Ooh, maybe.
Could have been.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think she was
touched.
Okay, so he's met Juliana, the love of his life. Everything's great.
They love each other. They like, riding in hearses, looking each other's eyes.
Yes.
No, they don't like unicorn farts. They like the farts of dead animals that are decomposed. What are you talking about? They don't like unicorns, people.
Look alive.
Look alive. No, look
dead.
Look dead. Play dead now. Play dead and toot a little bit. They'll keep you. They might put you in a box and stroke your hair and stuff.
Oh. Look, Juliana was just like, she's like, oh, we've heard or seen the movies where the girl was attracted to the guy he was that outcast. He wasn't the
like
typical
Edward Scissorhands. Who would like that?
I don't know, man.
Your comparisons are so like all the way towards the
I personally would not date Edward Scissorhands unless this man want to clip my ends.
I date the actor.
Oh, well, fine.
Yeah, shout out to Johnny Depp.
Shout out Johnny Depp.
Yeah, we love you. Yeah. Fuck Amber.
Man, we just did a binge watch of all parts of the
Caribbean. Yeah, love that man.
Johnny Depp, you got that single. Hit us up.
We love you.
Anyways, back to the story.
We're so serious.
It's so sad. So in 1971, they did get married. However, 6 months into the marriage, for reasons I could not find why, Herbert's father had him committed to a mental institution.
I know why.
He stayed there for 2 months.
Sorry.
Even though he went to the mental institution for 2 months and we don't know the reason, obviously whatever happened wasn't too bad, because Juliana was like, "That's my man. I'm gonna stick beside him."
They was like, "Look at him."
Yeah.
And he like waving the dead ferret. she like, yeah, that's mine.
That's your man.
Yeah, that's mine. I stick beside him.
Sounds like a fool. So she was in love, despite his idea, whatever. Mm-hmm. So his father pulled some strings and got him a job as a cocky boy at the Indianapolis Star, which is the newspaper out there.
Yeah.
Indy Star, shout out to y'all.
Yep. Reporting the facts from the streets, y'all.
So his job was like running stories between desks. So he's like a errand boy assistant, and other little stuff like that. And so it was a low level position, but
everybody got to start somewhere.
Yeah, he actually like really dove into it. He was eager to start a new career, but you know, he was constantly trying to gain like positive feedback and stuff from the higher ups. And he kind of got irritated by it because he felt like he just wasn't getting any recognition. He would like obsess over ways to fit in with his coworkers, but it never worked. So because he was unable to kind of handle this like nobody status, he left for a job at the BMV. Yes, in Indiana, it's called a BMV. Not a DMV.
It's a bureau, people, of motor vehicles.
Of motor vehicles.
Okay, because we have a bureau for our stuff. We're fancy here.
Not a department.
Yeah, departments are cheap.
Department is a store. It's a department.
Yeah, it's
store.
cheap. It's low class.
We don't have our motor vehicle stuff handled at a store.
We have filtered water in our bureaus.
Yes. And so he began. We are just not being serious about this episode.
Right.
So he began his entry level job there. He had a different attitude. So at the newspaper, he was kind of like childlike, overeager. He didn't hide that his feelings were hurt by certain stuff that he didn't find recognition. So at the DMV, he was like, "Oh, I know what I've seen from like house supervisors and stuff." He came in. And he's like, I'm going to be bossy. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to lash out at them for no reason.
That'll get him to like me.
He was like playing a role.
Violence.
He came in at this entry-level job playing this role of like supervisor. Like, because that's what he had seen before.
Now, we all know one of them at work who wanted to, they the same levels. You've been doing the same thing you've been doing.
But look.
And they want to tell you.
Round nosers.
It kind of
they got something on their nose.
Right? Because even though he was labeled an oddball, and he was erratic and all of that stuff, it was actually one year he sent a Christmas card to everyone at work that pictured him with another man, and both of them were dressed in holiday drag. Now, imagine it's early 70s.
Oh, that got some heads turning.
Yeah.
And I'm not. No, listen here. So anybody that's coming with the negativity, I ain't coming with the negativity. I'm saying. We're talking 1970s, where that type of behavior. They didn't find humor. They didn't find humor. They actually found disgust and would treat people horribly, which is not okay. And yes, which is insane. But anyway, so I'm just saying, look, that's about the only thing that I think that I've heard so far about dead ferret finder, PP on the desk, that I actually am like, okay.
Like, if he did, that happened today. If your coworker sent out a Christmas card and him and somebody was dressed in drag, you'd be like, slay.
Yes.
Period.
Okay, we like that.
Yeah,
but that's the only thing you did, pervert, that was all right.
So, talk around the job became that he was a closet homosexual.
Haters.
And, of course, a nutcase.
Well, we know the nutcase.
9 years into his marriage with Juliana, they started a family.
Okay.
They had Marie, who was born in 1979. Eric, who was born in 1981, and Emily in 1984.
Oh, he got kids my age, Lord Jesus.
So, after 10 years, despite Baumeister's poor relationship with his coworkers, he was recognized as an intelligent go-getter who produced results, and he was promoted to program director. So, coming in acting like what he thought a supervisor was.
They're like, he got some skills.
But here's the thing. He did all that work for 10 years to get promoted. Within a year of the promotion he yearned for, he was terminated after he urinated on a letter addressed to the governor at the time, Robert Dior.
Does he have bladder control issues? What is happening? Why is he pissing all over everything?
Him doing this subjugated some rumors that had been going around about somebody who had urinated like months earlier on the manager's desk. So him urinating on the letter made him go, "You the mother sucker that peed on my desk."
For sure. We know it now.
We know it's you. So,
now how did they know he peed on the letter?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Did they walk, like, was he in the break room and he had the break room door closed and then they opened the door and they're like, oh, he pissing on the letter?
I have no idea. Like, I can't even imagine how they discovered it.
Did they, like, you know what it could have been? Here are some theories on how they knew that he pissed on this letter. maybe it was other male co-workers, and they how they have urinals, and maybe his pee smelled odd, and so when they got the letter, they like, this smell like, I know this piss anywhere. Or it could have been like, they went around the office and they doing polls like, did you piss on this letter? No, why would I pee on the letter?
And when they asked Herbert, he just smiled.
Right, he smiled. He had like a little smirk.
It's not DNA. Damn it. Awful. So, up until this point, things were going well. But after he lost his job, Juliana had also quit her job to become a full-time mother. But she returned to work when she realized that Herbert couldn't find steady work.
Okay.
So, as a temporary stay-at-home dad, though, Herbert was caring. He was a loving father to his children.
Was he pissing on his children?
He was not.
Okay.
That was the one thing. Like, I didn't find anywhere where it said anything as far as like negative about him being a father. They were like, he was a great father. Like, he was caring with his kids, all that stuff. But however, being jobless left way too much time on his hands. And so Juliana apparently didn't know, but he began drinking a lot and hanging out at gay bars.
Was he hiding the bottles? Maybe.
If only y'all could hear the cricket in the background. It's like perfect for that because I have no answer.
Okay.
Juliana didn't know a lot of things.
Okay, so in September of 1985, Baumeister received a slap on hand after being charged in a hit and run accident while driving drunk. Why would you do that dumb shit? Anyway,
because we're dealing now. Y'all have to remember, I have to school the youngins. First of all, back in the day, it was not a crime. We didn't have seatbelts until the 70s, the end of the 70s at that. When they actually told people they had to wear seatbelts, they had actual like Channel 7 News, like, they talk to the people. They're like, why do you have to do that? Right. I can't drink my beer and drive this car. What do you mean?
Hell no. Nowadays, you get in the car with a fucking beer can open. That motherfucker's looking at you. Fall off the sky of your ass.
Get the siren from the police. You get a siren in your car when you don't put on your seatbelt.
Hello. Have you seen the cars where you actually have to breathe for the drunk? They have to breathe into the to even get it to start.
Yes.
So yeah. Back then they wasn't doing all that. They didn't give a shit. Drive however you want.
So 6 months later, he was charged with stealing a friend's car, and he was charged with conspiracy to commit theft, but he beat those charges as well. So the whole time he was bouncing between jobs until he began working at a thrift shop. So at first he was considered the job to be beneath him, so bougie and uppity.
I'm too good for this.
He said Malcolm.
I got fired for peeing on desks. I'm too good for this.
So
hello.
Even though he thought it was beneath him, he said, "Okay, this is a potential moneymaker." So over the next 3 years, he focused on learning the business. During the time of why he's focusing on business, his father had passed away, which left him his impact, like the impact his dad had on him, it was like really unknown.
Yeah, like there's nothing to say relationship. This was his reaction when his dad died or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 1988, he borrowed $4,000 from his mom. Baumeister and his wife opened up a thrift store. So this lets you know what type of time we in the 80s.
Y'all got $4,000.
You can legit buy a house with this type of money.
Oh, for sure.
Now $4,000 today.
You can't even pay rent.
You can pay
barely.
Not a month.
That's you trying to get a place. That's one rent plus deposit.
Exactly.
If
that's
one bedroom, one bath.
That's one bedroom, one bath. And not only that, that's if they just letting you do the first month.
Yeah, and you gotta pay all the utilities.
All of it, water, gas,
trash,
everything.
So after they opened up the thrift store, they named it Save-A-Lot. Now, Save-A-Lot is completely different from the Save-A-Lots now. So Save-A-Lot is like...
Wait, Save-A-Lot didn't sue them?
No.
So look, this was before.
So this actually became like a chain, like really popular thrift store in Indianapolis.
Is it Save-A-Lot like this over there?
No, not the grocery store. That's what I'm saying.
No, this was without an E.
Yeah, see.
He could have sued for likeness, though. You sure could
You
have.
can sue for anything, no matter if you drop the
I
ladder.
like it.
Well, all right. So continuing on, pals. So he opened up some Save-A-Lots. They stocked it with gently used quality clothing, furniture, and other used items. A percentage of the store's profit went to the Children's Bureau of Indianapolis business boom.
Like they had quick
boom, boom, boom. Okay. So the profit was so strong in the first year that the Baumeisters opened up a second store. So now we legit moving on up, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Within 3 years, after having living paycheck to paycheck, they were rich. Let's go back to those times, baby, because $4,000.
Like if $4,000 could start,
you flip it
and watch, it's gonna be somebody out here. There is, you can sign up for this.
No, thank you. We don't want your pyramid schemes. We don't want it.
$4,000.
Okay, I'm not giving you my Cash App. I do not care. Tell someone else who gives a shit.
We need a miracle out here, but we need real miracles.
I don't need to go to jail. I don't want to see these people we talk about. Okay.
Okay. And let's just say a weekend in Lake County.
It looks dirty and it looks like it smells.
So, he had Fox Hollows Farm. In 1991, the Baumeisters moved to their dream home, an 18-acre horse ranch called Fox Hollow Farms in the upscale Westfield area, just outside of Indianapolis in Hamilton County, which means my friends that are on the same color spectrum as us on this podcast, that means that we don't belong over there. So
says who? Listen, we everywhere. Y'all better
now.
You better tell them.
To give you an idea of like Westfield to Indianapolis is like Carmel, Indianapolis, or the south suburbs to Chicago. It's like right there.
We had money back then too, y'all. It may not be as much as what we have now.
Now this was $1 million.
That's fine. My mom worked for a dentist who was a millionaire and had $1 million home. We had money that don't let them people tell. Listen, we been.
Yeah, we have the money. They didn't want to ask over there.
You don't give a shit. We here.
We here now.
Right. Hello.
You married.
Oh my God. So the mansion was so beautiful. It had all the bells and whistles, including a stable, an indoor pool. Remarkably, Baumeister had become a well-respected, successful family man who gave to charities.
The turnaround.
But what I want to know is, he's still collecting dead animals?
No, he was not. Okay, no, because it was a turnaround.
But he wasn't pissing everywhere. I just don't believe it. If you pissing on desks, letters, and all kinds of stuff,
he didn't have to do that, because the reason why he did, I'm getting in the mind of him, right?
He went to the neighbor's house on a walk and he pissed right on the side of that building. Don't you
listen? The reason why he did that in school and at these jobs is because there was people above him. There were higher ups, and he wanted to be in the higher up position. He is now his own boss. He got 3 Save-A-Lots. He ain't got to pee on nobody's desk. The only desk he gonna pee on is his own. And he don't want to do that. The peeing on stuff was a sign of disrespect. And
it was like, let me assert my dominance.
Yeah,
weird. It do make sense. Mary is very smart. I just feel like once a peer, always a peer.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure he was still peeing because
we gotta do that. But I think every once in a while, like if you made him mad in traffic and he knew where you live, he was pissing on your shit. Did you ever? If you listen to me, people, we are talking about the great state of Indiana, and if you knew this man and you ever had a chance encounter with him and you smell piss, let us know. Hit us up at Merch in the Midwest. It was him pissing on your shit.
So unfortunately, stress from working so closely together soon followed. Husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. Don't work together. Don't.
I feel like some people do it. It depends on your character.
Yes. There has to be mutual respect.
Right, but those people who are super clingy, like you already super clingy at home, now you super clingy at work. You got one person looking at somebody sideways at work, and now you ready to fight. Things like that.
But
I feel like it really has to do with your relationship.
This plays into his whole mindset of, again, he wanted to be the boss.
Control.
And that's where their problem came in, because
she was a boss bitch too.
She could be.
They were, because they opened these together.
Mm-hmm.
He probably, I bet you often he'd be like, well, we got the money from
Exactly.
Like
my mom.
You and your mama. Why don't you go fuck your mama then?
I think that's what played a part here and why they didn't work out. It's his control.
Exactly. So get this. Herbert treated Juliana as an employee.
See what I mean?
Often yelling at her for no reason. To keep the peace, she took a backseat on the business decisions, but it took a toll on the marriage. The couple argued and separated on and off for the next several years.
Yeah, take some of that damn bass out your throat when you're talking to me.
Exactly. Yell at me. No, what was that movie? That Tubi movie? Don't yell at me in uppercase letters. Lowercase letters. The Save-A-Lot stores.
To the Tubi movie.
Hey,
Tubi be on it. I didn't really ever actually used to watch them, but I don't like them.
If you ever look at some actresses, hit us up. MurphyTheMidwest.com.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just hit us up.
I can fall out real good.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The Save-A-Lot stores had a reputation for being clean and organized, but the opposite could have been said about the Baumeister's new home.
Not the mansion, not the $1 million mansion. They trashing the lovely place.
They just weren't taking care of it.
The
Come on now.
meticulously maintained grounds became overgrown with weeds. Inside the rooms were a mess. Housekeeping was a low priority. The only area that Baumeister seemed to have cared about was the pool house. That's his
I bet you. Okay,
spot.
so all I'm saying is, I bet you he was peeing in the house.
So,
Not in the toilet. He was pissing on the house.
So get this, y'all. He kept the wet bar stocked and filled. The area extravagant decor included mannequins.
Right here.
Mannequins.
What?
That is so weird. Like, imagine walking around your crib and then boom, mannequins. Scare the shit out of me.
No, man.
I walk around the house.
I'm gonna have to go live somewhere else. Give me a guest house. I need to go separate.
He would have these mannequins dressed up as if like they were having a pool party.
Exactly.
So he ain't had no friends.
Could you imagine looking out into the pool house and seeing your husband?
And he probably drunk talking to him. He probably was drunk talking to him. Imagine. He already playing with the dead animals,
so
peeing on shit.
If he got the mannequins around the house, you never know what he doing with the mannequins. Because Juliana and the kids, they often stay at his house, at his mom's house.
Mm-hmm. We got to go to grandma's because daddy is weird.
In Lake Wawasee.
Wawasee.
It's somewhere. It's a condo, you know, so it's a pretty decent area. Baumeister, usually he remained behind to run to the stores, check on everything to make sure, you know, his business is not falling apart without him.
Or allegedly he was doing that. He told her whatever was necessary to get her the hell on.
In 1994, the Baumeister's 13-year-old son, Eric, was playing in a wooded area behind the home when he found a partially buried human skeleton. He showed Grizzlies to find his mother, who showed it to Herbert. So, oddly enough, his reasoning was he told her that the father had used skeletons in research, and after finding one while cleaning the garage, he buried it. Surprisingly, Juliana believed.
Of course she did.
Pause that.
Of course she did.
Yeah, because ain't no way my son finna bring me no skeleton.
No, mommy, come look.
And then I take it to my husband, and he go, "Oh yeah, so that was my father's. I found it because you know my father was a doctor because all doctors keep skeletons at home.
That's what they do in their spare time. They take because people actually let them just take skeletons. Right. We don't have to bury the remains of our loved ones. No, we just give them to doctors to research on to play with.
And when my father died, he left it for me in his will. I completely forgot it was in the garage. I found it, and I was like, let me pay my respects and bury this in the backyard. And Juliana's like, okay.
That's because his ass was running around playing with dead ferrets, pissing on shit. It just seemed right up the alley of weird. She was like, okay, boo.
She's like, yep, this is Herbert.
Herbert. That's what Herbert does.
And so we go on to now she's like, whatever, I believe you, Herbert. That's the end of it.
She said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
That's her man. She gonna stick beside him.
Through whatever.
That's mine.
So dead bodies after the second store opened, the business began to lose money. Baumeister started drinking during the day and acting belligerent to customers and employees.
Oh, that's a great way to keep customers,
exactly.
You know.
I mean, I can name a few stores, but whatever. The stores soon looked like dumps.
Yeah, so pretty much whatever Herbert was doing, it was taking effect on
the home,
the marriage, the home,
And now businesses.
I'm telling you, the only thing that it said it did not affect was his parenting. But you have to imagine, first of all, if you're drunk, you're spending all your time in this pool house. There's no way you doing what you're supposed to do for all 3 of you.
I'm just gonna say, let's start with your child found a dead skeleton in the backyard, and that didn't take no effect on the child. Bullshit. A bullshit. Okay, that child is traumatized and needs some therapy.
So early in their marriage, Herb secluded himself in a bedroom and didn't talk to Julie for a year, she told detectives.
Wait a minute. So he freaking did. What was that dude that Leonardo DiCaprio played? The one who stayed in his room and pissed in the jars? You know what I'm talking about?
That y'all just randomly know what the fuck this is. It's so crazy.
Yes. He was a he was an aviator. He was no. He was Howard Hughes. Howard, wasn't that his name? That's who he portrayed. Yes, because this is what it's giving. He locked himself in a room for a year and the wife didn't think nothing strange about that.
It was the aviator.
Yes, I knew it. Aviation, Howard Hughes. That's it. Yeah, so he pulling full blown Howard Hughes and pissing in jars. He probably wasn't pissing in jars, he just pissing all over everything. See what I mean? I told y'all, I knew it. I knew he was peeing in that house.
So his mom often angered him. He cut contact with her for over 4 years.
After she gave him $4,000 to open his business, ungrateful ass.
It be your own family. It's your own people. So when he was angry at her, he'd take the kids out and leave her home all alone, which is so rude and bogus.
Like, you're not gonna discipline with my kids, bro.
Exactly.
You're not gonna get mad at me and discipline with my kids.
So at night, unknown to Juliana, Baumeister cruised gay bars and then retreated to his pool house where he spent hours crying about the business. Juliana was actually exhausted because she just worried so much. Bills were piling up, and her husband was just a stranger every day. It was literally a stranger in their own home.
Okay, so in 1977, Virgil Vandegrift, he was a highly respected retired Marion County sheriff. He opened Vandegrift and Associates, and so that was a private investigation firm. It was located in Indianapolis and it specialized in missing person cases. So in June of 1994, he's contacted by the mother of a 28-year-old Alan Broussard, who she said was missing. She's like, when I last saw him, he was headed to meet his partner at a popular gay bar called Brothers. He never returned home.
Okay.
And then like a week later, he received another call from another mom saying her son was missing. In July, Roger Goodlett, who was 32, he had left his parents' home to go to a gay bar in downtown Indianapolis, but never arrived. So they came together. They were like, they shared a lifestyle. They looked alike. They were near the same age, and they both vanished en route to a gay bar.
Okay.
So Vandegrift, he started distributing missing person posters at gay bars around the neighborhood. Family members and friends of the young man were interviewed. He learned that Goodlett was last seen willingly entering a blue car with Ohio plates.
Okay.
So Vandegrift received a call from a gay magazine publisher who told him actually that several gay men had disappeared in Indianapolis over the previous years. And so he was convinced that there was a serial killer. He goes to the Indianapolis Police Department. Unfortunately, because of the times, missing gay men were low priority.
It's a shame.
They chopped it up as, oh, maybe they just left the area so that they can go live freely and practice their gay lifestyle.
That's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd.
Yep.
Marginalized communities, the things that they have gone through from any part of society that is thought as less than. From ethnicity to sexual orientation to profession. It's just really sad when you see, like, they wouldn't even bother investigating. They're just like, oh no, they're just going off to be gay. Yeah, what?
They are still human beings.
Right.
Yep. And so at the same time, Vandegrift had learned about an ongoing investigation into multiple murders of gay men in Ohio. It actually began in 1989 and it ended like mid-1990.
Okay.
They were finding bodies dumped along Interstate 70, and so they started calling them the I-70 murders. 4 of the victims were from Indianapolis. So,
Pervert Herbert, what have you been doing?
weeks after Vandegrift, passed out the posters, he's contacted by a guy. We're gonna call him Ricky.
Ricky, come on, Ricky.
He actually requested that his pseudonym be Tony.
I like that. I do. I like Tony.
Tony's cute. So we'll do Tony. He says that he was certain that he had spent time with the person responsible for Goodlet's disappearance. So Tony was actually a friend of the Goodlet guy who had disappeared on his way to the DR.
Okay.
He said he went to the police and the FBI, but they disregarded his information.
Because, of course, it's unimportant to them. Yes, sorry. Absolutely. Can't be bothered.
So Vandegrift set up a series of interviews, and the story that they got from Tony was wild.
Okay.
Wild. Tony said he was at a gay club when he noticed another man who seemed like extremely captivated by the missing persons poster. He wasn't just checking it out like, oh, somebody's missing. Like, he was extremely captivated of it. Mm-hmm. And, he was looking at him and he's like, his disappearance. So to try to learn more, Tony introduced himself. The man said his name was Brian Smart. He was a landscaper from Ohio. And then when Tony tried to bring up Goodlet, he said Brian became evasive. He just really didn't want to talk about it. So the evening progressed. They're talking, and Brian invited Tony to join him for a swim at a house where he was temporarily living, doing landscaping for the new owners. Tony agreed and got into Brian's Buick, which had Ohio plates. Mm-hmm. Tony was not familiar with northern Indianapolis, so he couldn't say exactly where the house was. He just knew it was a big area and that it had horse ranches and large homes. He described that he saw a split rail fence and a sign that read farm something. And he said the sign was at the front of the driveway. He says Tony described like a large home. He said when him and Brian got there, they entered through the side door. He said the interior of the home was packed with furniture and boxes. He followed Brian to the pool house, down the steps to the bar and pool area, which had mannequins set up around the pool.
I can't believe he went in that house and thought that he was doing a landscaping business in the way in which they described it. But okay, go ahead. People, let's use context clues. Context clues.
So Brian offers Tony a drink, which he turns down.
Good.
Because he was suspicious from the time he introduced himself.
I mean, but what gave it away? The landscape that wasn't landscape. Being mesmerized by a missing person poster, and then you come in, and what are you greeted by? A plastic mannequin. Jolly.
A bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And so Brian then excused himself, and Tony said when he came back, he was a lot more talkative. He suspected that he had went off and did some cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. We just getting to it.
He had to get the party started. Brian was like, I'll be back.
Party!
It's a party. I don't normally do this, but
holy shit.
They're talking. Brian's like going off. Mm-hmm. Tony says at some point he mentioned autoerotic asphyxiation.
No, thank you, sir.
For those who don't know, it's receiving sexual pleasure while choking or being choked.
No, thank you. Let's please exit stage left.
So Brian asked Tony to do it to him.
No, thank you.
Tony went along. Tony was like, okay, sure.
Oh.
And he choked Brian he choked Brian with a hose, like a water hose.
See what I mean?
Well, Brian masturbated. Y'all kinky.
They wild. Pervert. Little pervy.
So.
Okay,
then,
if that's what you want to do,
you finished, Brian goes, all right, it's my turn to do it to you.
Hell no.
So Tony went along.
Oh, bullshit.
Tony went along with it, though.
Tony, what is wrong with you? Tony, this is me speaking to you. This is me talking to you right now, okay? We make some choices in life, and sometimes we already kind of know when we're starting to make a choice. This is fucked up. You gonna let this man that got mannequins comes back hyped after being real low key? Mannequins probably talking to him. He probably pissed on something in your presence.
You will not get over this pee.
I cannot.
Never let go of
not letting go of the pee because I'm sure it smelled pissy in there. But pervert. But then
my
you just
God.
gonna let him choke you?
Yeah.
With a hoe?
Yeah.
Tony, you know this is how most of the stories start. The little TV shows where the white folks end up dead.
I'm obsessed with you. Sending your picture like Jeffrey Dahmer when he was looking at that movie.
Didn't he watch Silence of the Lambs? What it out by then? When he told him to start slicing off his face? Come on now, we don't go with what the crazy people tell us to do.
Tony let him do it. And as Brian began choking him, it became very obvious that he was not going to let go. So can y'all guess what Tony did?
Grabbed him by the balls.
No. He pretended to pass out.
Smart man.
And so Brian released the hose.
He said, "Oh, I'm dead."
So picture this. He's choking him, Tony like, fuck, he ain't gonna stop. Okay. Dead. Brian go, whew, let go of the hose. And then
he punched him in the balls.
Tony opens his eyes and smiles. And Brian is visibly shaking. He's like, ooh, what the fuck? He plays it off as though I thought you were really hurt.
This reminds me of Kanye. Gotcha.
Yeah. So he opens his eyes, smiles, and Brian plays it off as he was scared because he thought Tony had passed out.
He lied.
If this was a saying back in the day, I would be like, boy, what the fuck you doing? Man. God damn.
So after Tony's like, nah, I'm just playing. He's like, all right, take me back. So Brian drives him back to Indianapolis. And
at least he didn't just murder him right there.
I think at that point, like, first of all, Tony hadn't been taking any of the drinks that Brian offered, and Tony was visibly larger than Brian.
Oh, so he thought he was going to get that ass whoop.
I think Brian was smart enough to realize, like, this dude just fake passing out. He probably owned to me. Let me get him the hell out of here.
Because I might get my ass whooped tonight.
Yeah, because this will be the night where
I'm going to be buried in the backyard.
Yes. So they agree to meet the next week.
He meet him again.
No, so Tony shows up to the meeting, but Brian doesn't show up.
So, what I'm saying is Tony agreed to this shit
because this was after he was talking to the sheriff, like they were trying to meet up with him to plan the catch.
Okay. I'm like, wait a minute now.
But Brian never showed up, and so Vandergrift believed the story, and he turned back to the police. But this time he contacted Mary Wilson. She was a detective who worked in missing persons. And so he was like, I'm going straight to her. She drove Tony to like the wealthy areas outside Indianapolis, hoping that he would recognize the house. But they came up empty. Tony did actually meet Brian a year later on accident. They happened to be at the same bar.
Okay.
Tony sent his friends to follow him outside to get his plate, to get Brian's plates. And so he gave the plate number to Wilson, and she found that the plate was not actually registered to Brian Smart, but it was registered to Herbert Baumeister.
Herbert the Pervert Baumeister.
And so as they discovered more information about Herbert, she agreed with Vandergrift, and so they came to the conclusion like, Tony, you escaped becoming the next victim.
By the hair on your chin. You made it. Sir.
Yeah.
You want to be me so bad with the passing out shit. I will faint in life's minor inconvenience.
Tony said.
Tony. Okay. So Wilson went to the store to confront Herbert the Pervert, telling him that he was a suspect in an investigation of several missing men. She asked, she asked that he let investigators search his home, and he told her, like, no ma'am.
You're not going to tell me I'm suspected of something and then ask me to search my home.
Right, like, I might be crazy. I'm not that crazy, boo-boo.
I mean, he wasn't stupid.
He wasn't stupid by any means. He had 2 successful businesses for a while. He had sense enough to put on acts and airs to be productive at work. Yeah. He had sense enough to piss and not get caught until the end. I'm just saying he wasn't a dumb man.
Lou will never forgive
Listen, I know that he's Herbert the pervert, but I'm like, he pissy pants to me. I mean, he smells like piss. This whole episode smells of piss to me. Okay. So anyway, he was like, no, thank you. And he also told her, in the future,
by the way,
talk to my lawyer.
By the way,
CC me after you talk to my lawyer, because that's all I want to hear from you is attorney.
Have my people call your
people. Mm-hmm. And so, she went on. She was like, I'm not getting much out of him. Ain't nothing happening here. So she went to Julia and she was telling her what she had told her husband, hoping that she would get a different response from the wife because, they already have had this tumultuous relationship.
If you go to the wife and you tell her, hey, your husband's suspected of murder, multiple missing men, can we check your house? And you think that the shock enough is going to make you go, yeah, check it, because I want to know who's this man I'm married to. Like, is he?
And not only that, let's roll back a few years when the skeleton. But anyway, I want to know if you all. Wait, hold on.
I get that part when you found the skeleton, but I'm like, I know the rights and stuff. You got a warrant,
I'm singing like a canary. Listen, you do some crimes around me, and I am not for jail, people. I am not built for jail. And I will let you know, future husband, whoever you may be, you commit some dang murders.
I am not the ride or die you think I am.
I'm singing like, you ever seen Transformers where Anthony got them dang on donuts and he tell them, we're not going to talk, we're not going to do nothing, I'm going to eat this whole plate, and then he starts singing.
No.
That's me.
That's going to be first 48 when they put the McDonald's number one with extra max sauce.
Yes. I'm telling it all.
So what you want to know? Where I found that skeleton? It's about 40 feet away from my house.
Right. It was the sun was about this high in the sky. And when I showed him, he had a smirk on the side of his mouth. And,
he... damn mannequins.
And I swear he mumbled something in his sleep. So, yeah. But anyways, what do you think that Julia, because she loves her pervert Herbert, she said, hell no, I'm not telling you shit, bitch.
You can't come in my house.
And our home that we built together. I know
my rights, so you need a warrant for
I know my civil rights. Okay, anyway, sorry. So then, she's like, I'm not getting anywhere with these non-cooperating assholes. So then, she went to the Hamilton County officials and they issued a search warrant. Okay, they were like, we don't.
No, she tried.
She tried.
They said they didn't have enough information.
Oh, dang. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, girl.
She tried, though.
Okay. Well, bye-bye. Nice try. So then, after this, he appeared to suffer from emotional breakdown over the next 6 months. And by June, Julia had reached her limit of dealing with his foolishness. She was just over it. And the Children's Bureau canceled their contract with the Save a Lot, not with the E. And they faced bankruptcy at this point. I know, but it was still
single woman.
I mean, but I just want to let you know that at the beginning it was his businesses, okay?
Yeah, when it was thriving.
Right. Those are your businesses. You can have it back. I make the decisions because I'm the man. So whether he wanted to or not, she was facing bankruptcy, but if his name was on it, he was facing bankruptcy too. Sorry, Pervert Herbert, you're in it. And at this point, that fairy tale that she had built up in her head about her man and his dead ferrets and his piss. Yes, the piss and the ferrets and the mannequins.
Like, you're more focused on the piss. I'm more focused on the multiple mannequins.
Wait a minute. I just want to know, though, what would you be more disturbed by in your home? If you're in a home living with somebody and they're pissing all over everything, would you be disturbed by the smell and the yellow stains in your carpet or by the mannequins? I could take weird ass mannequins. If you're pissing all over shit, get the fuck out.
We better go
get out.
Motherfucker colostomy bag. That's what we got to go get. God damn.
You gotta put on some pins because you got me fucked up.
Got me all the way fucked up. I lay on the couch and I'm like, oh my God. You laying in piss. You stepping in piss. You can't even sit on the damn floor in the house because he pissy.
How people go out in the public smelling like piss?
He was.
And piss is such a strong odor.
The thing was is that at this point he was only in the poolhouse. That's where he spends all his time. So
weird.
So,
It's
I'm
disgusting.
in the main house, and
Mm-mm.
at this point, like Julie, they had been being separated on and
It
off.
all smells. That stank is wafting on a hot summer day. On a hot summer day. You know when the sun. You know how it is. If you're from Indiana, you know how that heat hit with the humidity. That piss is wafting through the air. I can't even go to the pool. Just piss everywhere. Ugh. Anyway, okay.
It was the fake throw up for me.
It was done, just over it. I mean, his piss just somebody clean it up, spray some Lysol, anything, bleach. No, not the bleach with because then we're gonna blow up the house. Because no, you put the bleach with the damn ammonia, you're gonna make a damn mustard bomb. Okay.
We ain't teaching y'all nothing.
I mean, sorry. You can look it up on Google though. Okay. So anyway, warrant didn't work, pissing didn't work, fairy tale lifestyle is over. And she's like, you know what? Fuck him. She said, fuck him. So then, she was finished being loyal. Right. And, she was thinking about her lifestyle and how her loyalty to her husband. And then that haunting image of the skeleton of 2 years earlier that her son discovered in their backyard, it just kind of hit her like a ton of bricks. Came to the front of the memory.
Wow.
And that's when she first spoke to Wilson, okay? And she decided that she was going to get away from the cuckoo permanently. She was like, it's time to, separate myself from him. So, she would also let the detectives search her. She decided that she was going to file for divorce. She was going to let the authorities search her property.
Yep.
And Herbert and
Her son, Aaron.
they were actually out at his mom's house. Okay.
So that was when they came to search the house.
So I wonder actually how far this was away from where they were. Did we ever find out like where it was proximity?
Was in comparison to him? I have no idea.
So, I mean, it has to have been enough away where she felt comfortable that they could get there and search and do what they needed to do.
I mean, they did it all. They brought in the excavation. They was like, dig it all up.
Dig every spot. Everything. And so she picked up the phone, called her lawyer, and then we get to this lovely, gruesome, horrific scene.
Okay, so it is now June 24th, 1996. Wilson and 3 of the Hamilton County officers, they go to the grassy area next to Baumeister's patio. And they look closely, because they're going to the area where the kid found the skull earlier or whatever. And they're looking closely to the rocks and pebbles and stuff. And they're like, wait a minute. These actually look like bone fragments. And forensics confirmed that they were.
So we're just decorating the lawn and flower beds.
Yeah.
Spooky season.
So, forensics confirmed that they were human bones. And so the next day, police and firemen, they began an excavation. And bones were literally everywhere. They had fell over into the neighbor's land. First of all, could you imagine coming outside? You've seen the neighbor stories of, oh, you're so-and-so's in my lawn. Could you come out and be like, yo, bro, why you got bones in my lawn? Get your bones out my yard.
High key, I thought about doing a Halloween decoration where you take the drugs in the water bottles and put it in a black garbage bag and you tie it and then you put the caution tape around it. But in the area I live in, they'd be like,
they might get you arrested.
Somebody gonna be knocking on your door.
They might get you arrested.
Somebody gonna be knocking on your door.
This bitch got a damn body out here.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Oh.
So as y'all can hear, clearly Chloe agrees with what we saying.
Yeah.
She they better not put no bones in my yard.
She got something for him.
My small ring camera, 4-legged ring camera.
Yeah.
She's a mascot for Mercked in the Midwest.
But can you imagine being in some fancy neighborhood like that where these houses are $1 million homes and you're just probably coming out to enjoy some tea or some wine on your porch, your deck or patio or whatever, and they're talking about we're gonna be digging up your begonias and Sorry, there might be some
Sorry,
bones.
we found some bones in your yard.
Not begonia.
So yeah, so there was a lot of bones. Like they were all over the place. And so like early searches, they said that they had found like 5,500 bone fragments. And teeth. It was later estimated it was estimated that the bones were from 11 men. But only 4 of them could be identified, and that was Goodlet, 34, Stephen Hale, who was 26, Richard Hamilton, who was 20, and Manuel Resendez, who was 31. And it was believed later on they were able to identify another 4, which were Johnny Bayer, Alan Broussard, Mike Kieran, and Jeff Jones. And so there are still 3 young man bodies who were unburied and never given a name or identity because no one ever came to claim the remains, which was a very common thing because, as we've mentioned, these were homosexual men, and of the times it was not as I guess like it's still not fully accepted in our society, but not as accepted.
Yeah, people were very judgy about it, for sure.
And so when gay men disappeared, it was just like, oh, they must be leaving to live their gay life, or oh, they probably just ran away. They didn't really look too much into it, and so like families weren't reporting them missing or claiming bodies and stuff like that. And so after this, Juliana, she began to panic because she's like, what the hell? Y'all have found how many bones in my backyard?
I still say, you know what though? I don't really have much sympathy for this woman. Like the wife, there were many flags.
There were many.
I mean, she had a whole
flags, like 6 flags.
She had more than 6. She had a hall of flags. She had all of the nations.
Literally brought you a skull out your backyard,
and you was just like,
and you believe the story that he
told. The story of, oh, those were my dad's bones.
Yeah, he used to keep them for work.
And she's just like, oh, okay.
And in his will, he left them to me. Like, what?
And it's still, again, with
Why
the mannequins.
Are you in the backyard with the bones, though? That would be killing me.
Backyard with the bones, the mannequins rolling around the house.
Like, you got the pool house set up with mannequins.
And then your fun fact, I'm just saying, like, it's too many things. There's too many things, girl.
The fact that y'all wasn't having sex.
She had sex, what, a total of
like 3 times in the entire marriage? It was something like that.
No way.
Yeah. And so, she's scared because at this time, like we said, Herbert is out, but he has the son, Eric, with them. And so they were just in the beginning stages of their divorce. And so before they, detectives and stuff, before they decided to post the news of what they found, they wanted to make sure they got Eric safely. And so they served him with custody papers, demanding that he return Eric to Juliana. Herbert was like, oh man, the system, that's just how the system works. They just want my son. So he like, whatever, it ain't nothing. And he turns Eric over, no problem. And then that's when, they broadcasted that they had found all the bodies and stuff. And it was once they announced that he disappeared completely. And it was on July 3rd that they found his body inside his car at Pinery Park in Ontario, Canada. He had apparently shot himself in the head. And he left a 3-page, I'm sending him a 4-page letter.
Ooh, tell him.
Nah, he left a 3-page suicide note explaining why he took his life, right? So he cited problems with the business and with his marriage and why things were so bad, but there was no mention of the murders or all of the bones in his backyard.
Still deflecting denial.
Yes, completely. And so with Juliana's help, they were able to actually connect him with the Ohio murders of the I-70 murders.
So those people that were found on the side of the road, strangled and stuff.
Yep. She gave receipts of, I guess, like gas receipts and stuff showing him going up and down I-70 during the time that these people went missing. And then after he died, bodies stopped appearing beside the highway. Or no, so bodies stopped appearing around the highway around the same time that he got the property, the Hollow Farms. And it was because now
he has a place
he can just put
he
in
could
his
sprinkle
backyard.
all the bones all around the neighborhood. So,
And so,
I wonder, just a thought, like, where did he begin on this murderous quest that he was on? Like, what started and prompted his? Because there's nothing really where, I mean, he didn't even acknowledge it himself, but I just wonder where it began and what prompted him killing people in this manner.
Right, because it's like if you were down low, homo, like cool, be down low, do secret. It's like, are you killing them to make sure that it doesn't get out, that it doesn't get back to your wife and kids?
She already knew they wasn't having sex. Come on,
Juliana. Love, no, we're not even like.
God damn.
It's the fact that they had, like you said, they had sex like maybe 6 times and 3 kids. So it's like they was fertile.
Yeah.
Like,
so you have to know something's going on. I mean, there are times when anybody, just as a person, you're not going to want to have sex. But I mean, years.
Y'all,
and there's not like some kind of health function that's making it. Yeah, and then generally, like when people have health problems that they can't do it, they still want to do it, and they go get medicine.
We find some way, some type of way. Work. But even if it was like she couldn't figure out the fact that he was a homosexual or he was a murderer or something like that, her intuition wasn't going off that he was doing something.
My mind would have instantly went to that. I would have jumped to the biggest fucking conclusion.
And you know what? And maybe not have jumped to the conclusion of him being gay, but maybe he was
banging
on me or banging the mannequin. It could be. Some people like those dolls. I don't know.
What's those real feel dolls?
Right? The ones that can turn their look.
My nose, could never be like, oh, my husband's spending so much time in the pool house with the mannequin.
Yeah, he's banging.
I'm going out there to be like,
that shit fucking weird anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
what's going on?
I wonder what the mannequins' names were too. I have a lot of questions.
When you said that, it made me think of I Am Legend when Will Smith was talking to the mannequins and he's like, "How'd you get here? How'd you get?" Shout out, Will.
Hey,
you know, we in your corner.
Listen, you can tell that you can tell that thing that you still married to, not married to. Yeah, real hot take. She get on my last nerve. Ooh-wee. Can someone please just pull the mic when she just
Mary had this fucking TikTok yesterday, and she was like, it was like my spirits, my ancestors.
She was like, my spirit. And my spirit's children. I tell it when he slapped Chris, if the camera would have panned to me, it would have saw me looking around for this wife that he was referring to because he hasn't called me that in 10 years.
Hollering.
I cannot.
We're in the middle of a ghetto ass Applebee's.
Full on cackling. But yeah, no,
girl,
y'all gotta go. The TikToks around that are just hilarious.
It's something else.
But yeah, so they found the suicide letter and stuff. He gave no information as far as like closure for the family and stuff like that. There actually was an article put out just within like the last couple of years, where they were stating anyone who thinks they are related to a missing person connected to the Baumeister case should contact the coroner's office at 317-770-4415, or you can fill out this form, and we'll have the link for the form in the description box. But basically, because they still have samples from nearly 10,000 bone fragments.
So it's just multiple people's bones are collected in there, and they're trying to identify.
Yep. So they're urging anyone from Indiana or nearby states who have male relatives who went missing in the mid 80s to mid 90s to provide a DNA sample, even if it, because they can do the whole familiar match and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are still like
actively
heavily trying. Yeah. Which says a lot.
Because maybe at that time the tone was
like, oh well,
who cares? But now there is a concern because you do have more people in power that actually care about the whole of society and not just one type of person.
Yep. And I know if I was, if it was my son, I would want to
You
know,
want
even if it
answers.
was 20, 30 years later, I'd want to know what happened. I'd want the remains so we can do whatever our family calls as like a proper burial and all that good stuff. So yeah. So we'll have the link in the description for you guys. All right, y'all. So that wraps up Herbert the Pervert, or as Lou likes to call him,
Pissy Pants Pervert.
And so there is going to be a clip in the description, which is an interview with him before anything was found out about him. It was just he just happened to be a random person interviewed, and he's creepy guy. You guys have to go check it out. Creepy guy. So please check that out. And I really enjoyed this.
I actually enjoyed this story, and not saying that we enjoy murder.
No, not that.
Just the story of these people. I feel like the silent hero, not silent because he wasn't silent. He told it all. But the little hero in this was Tony. Come on,
Shout
Tony.
out Tony. Like just the way it unfolded, I guess, is what was interesting about this one. Is that if it wasn't for Tony, who knows how many more people?
Oh, I'm sure it would have been even way worse.
So
yeah, it's just a wild story.
And the fact that they were also able to put a name to the I-70 murders. Now there are still people out there who speculate that, that they were mad at the police, that they think that they just used Herbert as a scapegoat so that they wouldn't have to solve the actual murders or whatever. Because there was another guy who was just investigated for that. And I think they did tie some of the 3 murders to him or something. So the reporter who reached out to Virgil to say, hey, there are a lot of gay men going missing. He actually has an article out discussing it and how he thinks that they kind of just closed that I-70 murders too soon. So we'll attach that article as well so you guys can go read that because that's also very interesting information.
So this concludes today's episode. So if you have any cases you want to hear about, if you have any constructive criticism, some feedback, a shout out, a case you might want to hear, let us know. Email us at murkinthemidwest@gmail.com. And also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Bye.
Bye.